We need to talk about the assignment instructions for both the recommendation report and the proposal. Now, the reason why we have to talk about these assignment instructions together is because your next major assignment, your proposal, is going to actually be linked to your final major assignment for this course, your recommendation report. For your proposal, you will be proposing your project for the recommendation report. So first, let's actually take a look at the recommendation report assignment instructions. And this is the final project for the course. It's the project that the entire course has been building up to. So it's a very large scale project. It's going to be very time consuming, very work intensive, and it's worth a large percentage of your grade for the class. So of course you know by now that you can access the assignment instructions by the assignment instructions link in the course menu. The basic idea of this assignment is that you are going to be comparing two alternatives and recommending one over the other. But in order to do that, you must first invent a scenario that you will be responding to and recommending one possible option over another. So imagine that you are working in your chosen field and there is some problem at your workplace that you are poised to help solve based on your expertise and your area of knowledge. You will be researching two potential solutions to this problem and ultimately recommending one solution over the other in this report. As I said, this report is very lengthy and work intensive. It is going to be 6 to 8 pages in length, single spaced, and that does not include the front and back matter. And what I mean by that is that the table of contents, the cover page, the references page, all of that stuff is not included in that length requirement. 6 to 8 pages of actual content. You also need to use a minimum of 3 visuals. No, I don't mean clip art. You need to format and design the report according to the rhetorical situation. You need to use at least 3 sources, and these will be both primary and secondary. Don't worry if you don't know what that means yet. You will in a very short amount of time. And you need to be citing your sources according to the appropriate citation style in your field. So for example, if you're an electrical engineering has its own citation style. It does not use APA or MLA. Same thing with mechanical engineering, same thing with the American Medical Association. So this will require you to research what type of citation style would be appropriate for your field and then learn how to use that citation style so that you can begin practicing in the citation style that you will need to use in your future line of work. This recommendation report is not going to be due until the very end of this course after you complete all of the coursework, lesson 16. We will, of course, be doing a discussion forum workshop of the course, and that will take place in lessons 15 and 16. Now that you know what's ahead of you for the final recommendation report, let's talk about the proposal assignment, which is your next major assignment for this class. For your proposal, you will be first proposing your planned project for your recommendation report to your instructor. This is important because it's going to require you to really map out what the exact scenario is that you are responding to in this recommendation report, what the 2 options are that you're comparing, and it will help you map out what sort of research you need to be doing, what citation style you should use, and so on. Your instructor will be reviewing your proposals and approving them based on the suitability of your project and the scope in terms of the rhetorical situation and the assignment requirements. By the time you submit your proposal, however, it will be too late for you to completely start over on your recommendation report project. You should begin working on the recommendation report right now as you begin planning the project for the proposal. So what will happen is, if there are problems with the scope or plans for your recommendation report in the proposal, your instructor will work with you to fix those problems and determine appropriate plans for your project, so that by the time you submit your final recommendation report for grading at the end of this course, you are well situated to earn a good grade on that important assignment. Please format your proposal as a memo to your instructor. Describe in detail the scenario that you are responding to. Describe the organization, their problem, the two alternatives you will be comparing, and the criteria that you plan to use to evaluate each alternative. You should use visuals as appropriate, and you should use at least one Gantt chart for your proposed schedule. You should also, of course, use headings, subheadings, and include at least 3 citations for potential resources that you might use in your recommendation report, and format them according to the appropriate citation style. This proposal should be 4 to 6 pages in length. Your instructor cannot approve your proposal unless you demonstrate that you have made appropriate and sufficient plans for your recommendation report project. In order to do that, you need to include some very specific components in your proposal. You should begin, of course, with an introduction, and then describe in detail the case study, in other words, the organization, and the problem that that organization is having. You need to analyze the organization's problem and the solutions that you are comparing. You need to analyze the audience. You need to provide a schedule that you will adhere to. If appropriate, you can discuss your qualifications, what expertise you bring to the table that will help your audience solve this problem. And you should discuss what types of resources you need to complete this project, including a budget. You should also explain what citation style you intend to use and why, and then end with a closing in which you request approval for your proposed project. The final draft of your proposal is due at the end of lesson 13, which is just 3 lessons before the final draft of your recommendation report is due. As you are working on preparing your proposal, you should also consider that you are working on the recommendation report. We will be workshopping a draft of your proposal in the discussion forums, and that will take place in lessons 11 and 12. Even though we just went over the assignment instructions for the recommendation report and proposal in this video, please do still read the instructions for both assignments yourself. There are other components that we did not discuss in this video. After reading the assignment instructions for both assignments, let your instructor know if you have any questions.